It's the process in which God speaks to all life on this planet, always and forever. Okay, about 40 billion years ago, life started. Conscious life after that. But, anyways, with conscious life with a meat mind, like we have with a meat mind, we're able to observe and understand and then know. As humans, we can we can take that one step forward and turn it into words. But other creatures on this planet, they just observe and they understand and they know. Like this cat knows God better than you. You know what I mean? Better than you because they don't use words. They just observe and understand. But anyways, for 4 billion years, our ancestors that, evolved to be who we are now, our prehistoric ancestors, they would navigate this world, trying to survive long enough to have kids and so on and so on and so on. So things were important, certain things are important, such as the life-giving and taking elements of this reality, which there are many. And basically every element gives and takes life, And so for 4 billion years, all life, like the fish aren't born to knowing how to swim. The water teaches the fish to swim. The air teaches the birds to fly, you know what I mean? The elements teach all conscious life how to eat, how to make shelter, how to answer questions that we all ask ourselves. The knowledge is within God's creation. Their words are in their creation. Our minds are designed to comprehend their words, which are in their creation. And we can seek advice, from those understandings. They turn into advice within our minds. But anyways, after this 4 billion years, bam, humans, just as smart as we are, just as stupid as we are now. But humans, in any case. And these humans, they were tribal humans. All of them were. For 300,000 years. Living in tribes, which is just an extended family. And these people, they survived in the wilderness. They survived in, the house of God, basically, this earth, God's house. And they had plenty of food. There's food everywhere, so they didn't need to farm. They just ate. They walked around, gathered food, ate animals, ate plants, drank from the river, built fires, But anyways, all these people, they knew God, every single one of them, you know what I mean? And they didn't use words because they all had the understandings within God's creation. It was very simple for them to comprehend the thought of God, you know what I mean? And yeah, they did have they would pass down knowledge to their children and so on and so on and so on, for 300,000 years. And this knowledge, same message, different advice, And then, after this 300,000 years, people began to become civilized. They built fences, they altered the flow of water to farm, They started making shit out of metal and writing shit down. But anyways, about 3,000 years ago, there was a tribe of people. And this tribe of people, yes, they did have teachings in the form of verbal communication that was passed on from their ancestors. And they also had writings. Was it perhaps in books or other forms, just writings. And they would search for, truth just like everybody does. Everybody always does, And one dude was like, hey, because he was educated in God's creation, you know what I mean? Like, in naturally, every human is educated to the level of, let's say, like a kindergartner, which is an instinctive response of the human mind. Observe, understand, and So everybody's educated on, spiritual aspects of life to the degree of, a kindergartner. But this dude, he'd study that shit, you know what I mean? He studied and studied and studied. He was up in nature meditating all the time. And he'd ask himself all kinds of important questions. And he was educated, let's say at the college level, or beyond, with the degree and everything. And that type of education in the Word of God. So what he did was, he had the Word of God within it, all the understandings God placed in their creation within his mind. He answered these questions. That dude wrote a book. He wrote a book. And he got this book and he showed his tribesmen. He's like, check it out. This is the Word of God. And everybody there read it. Because they already had the understandings of God's creation, they read it. And that shit made perfect sense. They're like, wow, this is the word of God. This dude knows what he's talking about. And, you know, it was not the word of God because, you know, it was inspired by the word of God. Yes, it was inspired by the word of God, but it wasn't the word of God. And then 1,000 years go by, and, you know, time warps this book. So the definitions change meaning, and, you know, ways of explaining things change. You know, things change over time. Things humans create gets warped over time. Even books, you know. And, you know, 1,000 years go by, and some people are like, well, I'm still reading the book. They're like, it doesn't kind of make sense, you know. So a lot of people like start writing more books and stuff. And like some dude goes and meditates in nature for 40 days and 40 nights and like meditates and studies nature and asks all these important questions. You know, other people do the same thing. And then more people write stuff down and they put all the writings together. And someone's like, oh, this is the word of God, you know, because it makes sense, you know, because the other book, it doesn't make sense, you know, it just doesn't make sense, you know, something's wrong with it. And everybody's like, yeah, this makes sense, you know, because it was pure at the time. Just like the other one was pure at the time. It was pure. It made sense to everybody, you know, because the communication process hasn't been warped yet. So the book was, you know, pure. And then, you know, 500 years go by and another tribe with the books still, you know, right? These books, you know, they're obviously warped. They didn't realize it was warped by time, but they knew it was warped, you know, like this book's warped. It's not the word of God. It just can't be. So, you know, they did the same thing. They go in a cave, meditate. They would study nature. They'd ask themselves all the important questions, inwardly search, you know, stuff like that. And then they wrote another book, inspired by the word of God that they read themselves with their human mind, you know, with the instinctive ability of their mind. They write this book in a human form. And they look at it and they read it. And everybody else reads it. And they're like, oh, this is good. You know, it's pure. At that moment, that book was really good, you know, made sense to everybody. Everybody was educated in or the observations of this reality, you know. They read it and they're like, oh, yeah, that's the word of God, yeah. But then, you know, time goes on. And then let's say 200 years ago, other side of the world, for that same first book, and all the other books, guys like, dude's like, he's not a tribesman at all. You know, he's just a dude. But he's up in nature, you know. He likes to be in nature and like do his thing that he does or whatever. So he's being educated in nature. And, you know, meditation, prayer, same thing. He's doing that. He's inwardly asking questions, getting answers and stuff, you know. And then he decides to write a book too. He gets it. He shows it to all his friends and family. And like, yep, that's the word of God, you know, because it's pure. It makes sense or whatever. And the other books, they've been warped by time, obviously, so they're not the word of God, so this must be the word of God. And then, you know, now we are where we are now. And all these books that were inspired by the word of God and are not the word of God, because keep in mind, an element of eternal consciousness has a unlimited, omnipotent mind, an endless thought of a mind, you know what I mean? And to contain the wisdom of someone like that within a book, it's really laughable. You can put some of it in there, but you can't fit the whole thing in there, whatever. But anyways, now we're at where we are now, and different people have these books. This one claims this is the word of God, and this one claims this is the word of God, and this one claims this is the word of God. And, you know, they all think that the other people are just dumb idiots, you know, or stupid or whatever, or liars, whatever you want to say. But they're the only ones with the truth. But the fact of the matter is, none of them have the word of God. They have books that were inspired by the word of God and that have been warped by time, you know, and that's about it. And the thing is, all these people think they're God's chosen one. These people were chosen by God. They're the only ones going to have a pleasant afterlife, and same with these ones, and same with these ones, or whatever. But here's the thing. Our God is like the single parent to all life, right? And when my kids were little, I told them separately. I was like, hey, you're my favorite. And I go to the other one, hey, you're my favorite. And then they come back to me later in the day, all mad, right? Hey, why'd you lie? You said they were your favorite. And then you said I was your favorite. And you said that she was your favorite. Like, what's going on? We can't both be your favorite. And I was like, yeah, you can. I was like, no, I wasn't lying. You're both my favorite. I was like, I don't have a favorite. You're my favorite and you're my favorite. You know what I mean? So the truth is, yes, you are God's chosen people, you dumbass. But guess what? So are the other groups. And so am I. And so is this cat. The simple fact of the matter is, God would not create nothing they didn't want. The simple fact you exist, you've already made it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, yeah, that's how religion works. And now where we are now, being, our collective knowledge has, grown over time with humans or whatever. And now the instinctive path that leads to knowledge is available. This instinctive path that was needed to write those books, needed to write those books, still exists and is available for you. Yes, it will take you the rest of your life to read from the Word of God. It's an ongoing process that will continually grow your wisdom, grow your knowledge, grow your understandings of, reality, whether it be science, philosophy, spirituality, or religion, But anyways, that's the history of religion and where we're at now. So, just understand what's going on. And that's about it. Because, honestly, I don't think beliefs matter. You think it matters what this cat believes? And when you compare me to this cat, now compare me to God. You think it matters what I believe? You know what I mean? It just matters who this cat is. And this is a nice ass cat. So he can come to my house as much as he wants. You know what I mean? But some cats I don't let in my house because they're crazy. They're too wild. Anyways, you're welcome.